have come to an important fixture in the global commemoration of World Press Freedom Day, the joint statement by the 4 presidents of the representative bodies of the United Nations: the General Assembly, the UNESCO General Conference, the Economic and Social Council, and the Human Rights Council. In the context of this year's theme of the conference, it demonstrates how the UN system, the 4 representative bodies together, addresses the impact of AI on press freedom, media, and the safety of journalists. I invite you to watch a short video statement of His Excellency Ambassador Philemon Yang, President of the UN General Assembly.
Excellencies, I thank the President of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization General Conference, Ms. Simona-Mirela Miculescu, for the kind invitation to address this important event. Press freedom is fundamental for free and democratic societies. It is a core component of the right to freedom of expression. It enshrines the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through the media without fear. It gives us the facts we need to make well-informed decisions. As President of the General Assembly, I recognize the invaluable work of journalists and media professionals around the world. Without it, we have no facts, no truth, no trust. As this year's theme reminds us, the rapid rise of artificial intelligence and the need for press freedom are 2 of the most transformative forces of our time. Artificial intelligence offers vast benefits. It enables the free flow of information. It supports media freedom, and in these ways, it promotes peaceful, inclusive societies. At the same time, it introduces new risks by spreading misinformation and disinformation, amplifying online hate speech, and enabling surveillance of journalists and citizens. We must take steps to counter these risks. The Global Digital Compact adopted in September offers a roadmap to do just that. It sets out key commitments for freedom of expression and freedom of the media in the digital space. It calls for integrating a human rights perspective in regulating new and emerging technologies. And it presents a historic opportunity to close all digital divides, not least the gender divide. I urge member states to work with key stakeholders to implement the Global Digital Compact and to develop artificial intelligence governing structures that are transparent, accountable, and rooted in human rights. Together, we must defend the rights of journalists. We must shape a future where artificial intelligence strengthens rather than threatens our fundamental freedoms. I thank you.
You see, we set the scene anew, and that's because it's now my pleasure to invite with me on stage Her Excellency Ambassador Simona-Mirela Miculescu, President of the 42nd session of the General Conference of UNESCO, for an opening exchange. Please join me. Is this one working? It is. So nice to have you on stage with me here and with all of us. I think this is yours. How are you?
I'm very excited because actually this was a fascinating day, and I would like to congratulate you for the elegant and impeccable stewardship of this event. But
thank you.
wasn't it an absolutely intriguing and thought-provoking day? And the speakers were excellent, so I'm very excited intellectually and also from the human point of view, and happy to be here.
We are happy to have you. I have lots of questions, but let me start with the first one. This is now the 4th year that this declaration has been jointly launched by the 4 presidents of the different UN bodies. Could you briefly take us through the history of this statement?
Well, it's a pretty recent history because everything started with the initiative of the president of the UNESCO General Conference, my predecessor, the president of the 41 session of the General Conference, in 2022. So since then, every year, on the occasion of this celebration, because I call it celebration, not commemoration, we are joined by the respective presidents of the main UN bodies relevant to the topic of this celebration. And I'm very grateful that the current presidents, whom you can see in the video messages, you saw the president of the General Assembly, UN General Assembly, you will see the president of ECOSOC, and you also the president of the Human Rights Council soon. I'm very grateful for them because actually they concurred immediately because the message is very important and they were aware of it.
Mm-hmm. It's particularly close to the DNA of UNESCO, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely. Let's not forget that communication and information are actually part of the main components of the UNESCO mandate, besides culture, education, and science. And if you know, or if you remember, those who know, actually the first sentence of the UNESCO Constitution, and we love it because actually we celebrate this year 80 years since the UN and UNESCO were born.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to all those who worked so hard in all these years, and especially, 8 years ago, it's so wonderful to be able to see in this context, to remind everybody that the founding members of the United Nations system actually created an international treaty that enshrined the equal rights for all and the maintenance and protection of the international peace and security. And those values are even more relevant today in this very complicated world. And going back to UNESCO, the first sentence in the Constitution of UNESCO says, and I quote, "Since wars begin in the minds of man, it is in the minds of man that the defenses of peace have to be constructed." This is what we are doing here today. This is what UNESCO does every day. And it is even more relevant if we actually think in the context of the main topic of today's event and, the evolution of the AI, to whom I must mention, again about UNESCO, issue to which UNESCO added a very important dimension, and I want to mention it here to remind everybody about this. A few years ago, all the member states adopted the first and still the only global tool on ethics in artificial intelligence. I wanted to mention this because we have to bear it in mind all the time.
Mm-hmm. And elaborate on it, I think, across the board. Now, the 4 presidents of the UN bodies have a unique role in protecting press freedom and information integrity. Could you elaborate a little on the importance of these bodies in that regard, especially, as you mentioned, and as we've been discussing all day, in this era where press freedom is increasingly under attack? How would you describe their role?
Actually, each body that is represented in this endeavor, common endeavor, has a specific role. We chose these bodies because they are very connected, very much connected through, of course, the human rights dimension, essentially, to this topic and to this reality. The UN General Assembly, I don't have to explain, right? ECOSOC, the UN's Economic and Social Council, also the Human Rights Council. Clearly, even their name, their titles speak a lot, volumes about their missions. Of course, UNESCO has a very relevant mission from this point of view, and actually, you know, the essence of UNESCO's mission is to encourage the flow of ideas by word or image, and to promote the freedom of expression, the diversity of expression. And we really, really have to avoid the homogenization of media. We are very, very afraid of that, and also of, you know, not being able to provide the diversity of expressions and all the freedoms that come within. So for us, it's a sacred issue, and that is why the President of the General Conference initiated this endeavor in order to spread this message of unity of all the UN relevant bodies to the topic of this day, unity in protecting these basic freedoms, and in supporting journalists worldwide, their access to information, their safety, and the information integrity, especially in the era of the artificial intelligence.
I think all the journalists in the room and many outside thank you and your colleagues in these UN bodies for that. Madam Miculescu, I have to thank you for your contribution and for being here with us and sharing your passion on this topic. It's very important. Thank you so much.
It is impossible not to be passionate about this, because we are very perfectly aware of the crucial issue that we're talking about.
Thank you so much. And as Madam Miculescu mentioned, we have more voices from these four UN bodies. I invite you to listen to the video message by His Excellency Ambassador Bob Rae, President of the ECOSOC.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm very honored to address you all on a day that is exceptionally important in the life of the world, World Press Freedom Day. This year's theme, Reporting in the Brave New World, the impact of artificial intelligence, press freedom, and the media. These are all critical subjects. We need to understand that as AI revolutionizes the world of reporting around the world, it's also important to understand the advantages and the disadvantages, the risks and the rewards of the technologies that are surrounding us. We know that AI can not only spread misinformation and disinformation and through deep fakes and producing content that is unlawful and poses a significant challenge to press freedom. We also know that it presents us with possibilities. So we have to look at where these possibilities are and where the downsides are. And we have to understand that journalists have to be able to continue to work, to be compensated for what they do, and allow themselves to sustain themselves in this time of extraordinary, not only political challenge, but also technological change. We are very committed to working together with journalists, to working closely with those people who value press freedom and who practice it every day. I want to express my great thanks to UNESCO for its unwavering commitment to this day, but also to the principles for which this day stands, the importance of freedom of expression, which is absolutely essential for all that we do in the field of sustainable development and everything else that we're doing. We have to commit a better environment where people can work without fear and where truth can flourish. We have to be able to navigate this new world and uphold the principles of press freedom that are absolutely essential to our society. We talk about a brave new world. We talk about a 1984. Let us talk about the fact that these are not manuals for the future. These are warnings about the bad things that can happen that we have to deal with. Thank you so much for listening and for watching, and good luck to all of us on World Press Freedom Day. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm very honored to address you all.
That was a bit too early. That was Bob Rae, His Excellency Ambassador Bob Rae, but His Excellency Ambassador Jürg Lauber, President of the UN Human Rights Council, also sent a video message. Let's have a look.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues and friends, it is a pleasure to address you on the occasion of this year's World Press Freedom Day. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to UNESCO and Ambassador Miculescu for convening this well-timed global conference. I am particularly honored to join you as President of the Human Rights Council and to co-sign this year's joint statement, which is now a token of the constructive, continuous and increasingly crucial collaboration between the Human Rights Council, the General Assembly, ECOSOC and UNESCO's General Conference. This collaboration is not only symbolic, but it is also strategic. It brings coherence to our respective mandates as we confront the challenges and responsibilities posed by the major agenda topics of our societies, which prominently include artificial intelligence, particularly in the domain of press freedom and freedom of expression. This year's theme, Press Freedom and Artificial Intelligence, resonates deeply with our work at the Human Rights Council. We are witnessing an unprecedented moment in which innovation is reshaping the very foundations of how we produce, access and share information. AI incubates immense potential, from supporting investigative journalism to enhancing access to underrepresented voices. But this potential is not neutral. When AI systems are poorly designed or misused, they can facilitate censorship, perpetuate bias, and amplify disinformation, posing serious risks to the integrity of democratic dialogue. The Human Rights Council has been actively engaged in addressing these concerns. Just last month, the Council adopted Resolution 5823 on human rights defenders and new technologies, reaffirming our collective resolve to protect civic space, online and offline. We have also advanced our reflection on neurotechnology, AI, and the digital divide, including through informal initiatives and multi-stakeholder dialogues, because it is clear that governance in this domain must be anchored in the principles of transparency, accountability, participation, and human dignity. As President of the Council, I also recognize the practical value of new technologies in improving our own work. I have appointed 2 co-facilitators to explore how modern tools can enhance the Council's functioning and support the participation of all member states, especially small island developing states and least developed countries. Hybrid modalities in this regard are not only efficient, but they are also a great tool to enhance inclusivity in our work, and we are aiming to restore these modalities in the work of the Council. Yet we must be vigilant. Technology must be an equalizer, not a divider. And here, the digital divide demands our urgent attention. Billions of people, mainly in developing countries, remain excluded from the digital sphere. The lack of infrastructure, digital tools, and basic training keeps far too many voices out of global conversations. This is no longer just a development gap, it is a human rights gap. Bridging this divide is a shared responsibility. The Human Rights Council encourages states to enhance cooperation, including through the Universal Periodic Review and the implementation of recommendations aimed at strengthening digital access and media literacy. Specialized UN agencies such as UNESCO and the ITU are critical partners in this effort. Their expertise and field presence help ensure that communities, especially youth, women, elders and other marginalized groups, have the knowledge and resource to participate meaningfully in digital life. To reach these high and noble goals, education plays a decisive role. Equipping developing countries with IT infrastructure, training materials, and local content in relevant languages is key to promoting media and information literacy, digital literacy, and ultimately empowerment. Without these foundations, efforts to promote press freedom remain incomplete. Let me also underscore the irreplaceable role of journalists and media workers in our societies. Their investigations uncover injustice, their words give voice to the voiceless, and yet we continue to see threats, attacks and harassment directed at journalists, often with impunity. These are not isolated incidents, they are structural risks that erode democratic governance and endanger human rights. The Human Rights Council has repeatedly voiced concern over the shrinking space for independent journalism and media diversity. Through our resolutions, we stress that journalists and media workers must be able to carry out their duties free from fear of intimidation, reprisals, or attacks. Their safety is not a privilege. It is a prerequisite for inclusive and transparent societies. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues and friends, artificial intelligence is not a fatality. It is a tool shaped by the values and policies we embed in it. As President of the Human Rights Council, I believe our role is not simply to react to the challenges AI poses, but to help shape the norms, standards and practices that will guide its development in ways that uphold human rights, democratic resilience and social cohesion. I thank you and look forward to our ongoing work across institutions, sectors and borders as we strive to ensure that the right to freedom of opinion and expression, media freedom and other human rights are not afterthoughts in the age of artificial intelligence, but foundational pillars. Thank you very much.
Merci aux 4 représentants des institutions des Nations Unies pour leurs réflexions.